Post-market analysis, Friday, April 29th, 2022. I gotta say, right now, I am just a little bit salty, but it's okay. It's motivation for the next time. So after my last post, where we were about here at my last video, uh, I was looking for a move, trying to anticipate what a move possibly could be. At the time, I didn't see one. So what I did see form was this breakthrough. Here, let me get rid of this previous fib I had drawn up on the bullish just to, oops, try to. So I saw this exhaustion here on the lower time frames, drop down to the M15. Right around here, I was seeing this exhaustion forming, looking like. So I got in approximately where you see here, dropped in on the M5. You see in this area here with this exhaustion forming where I saw broke through, pushed back up to retest this support, the previous support, now resistance. I then put my order here targeting this area. So price moved sideways for about an hour or so, and then it just proceeded to shoot up shortly after market open, 9:30, 10 o'clock. It just proceeded to shoot up, um, somewhat retested this level here. I don't think about that far with it. Still thinking about that far with it. Where is it? So just do this. 3, 10. Okay. Anyways, pushed up. Just briefly coming into this area where I hovered around previously, previous level of structure, and then just dropped. So, am I a little bit salty that I got stopped out and then it went past my TP? It went to my other TP earlier in the week, which I also mentioned, the level I've been mentioning all week, 33,200, and even went beyond that to a target I had previously in the week that it never even got close to. 32. I think it was 32,950. I said earlier in the week. So all those levels were hit, but I was not part of the ride. I could have possibly got back in, at any one of these points down the road, but I was already at my day, doing things throughout my day. I have other businesses during the day, so trying to set up trades before the day and then just monitor it as the day goes on. But also, I wasn't, entirely sitting in front of the computer and just focusing on what could have been done. So yeah, I probably could have got in on that push down, one of these points. Now looking at it, I didn't even look at it, to be honest. I was just throughout my day in the morning and got stopped out, so I moved past it. So this could have been another potential entry point right here. Even after this push down, this could have been a potential entry point. Now looking at it in retrospect, this also here could have been another potential entry point as well. 100 pip stops all the way down. Let's see. That could have been another entry. This could have been another entry as well. Great risk to reward, 1 to 5. 1 to 3 there. Even at the 400, which was my profit target initially, so it would have been a little less than that. Sorry, in that same area, but anyways. So how could I have reacted better in this trade, and how could I have? Losses happen, of course. But how could I have potentially capitalized on this and made it a W? So now looking at it now, analyzing market movement. Well, first of all, wrapping up the week, Definitely, I would say that the bearish momentum is still intact. As we were looking at earlier, this was pushing up. It was looking like maybe there's some bullish momentum to push back up, and potentially if this was going to close exhausted, it was looking exhausted with a big wick here. Now, with 45 minutes left in the month of April, I think it's safe to say that this is definitely closing bearish, and bearish sentiment is still intact. Weekly, same thing. We were, looking at it, kind of hovering here, a little bit of indecision, looking like, if there was a big wick on the bottom, might indicate a push back up. But I think, with this week closing like this, I think price is now, I mean, it's almost at this level. It's definitely going to push down into this level. I think I don't see anything to stop it going down to 32,895, and then, push beyond that next to the 32,000 to 32,500 range, and beyond that, we're gonna be in early 2021 levels here. Next weekly support is 31,000 approximately, with a minor level approximately 32,000. So we'll see what happens, but definitely bearish. Momentum is still intact, and it is still strong. Definitely push down. Here on the daily, is definitely closing very strong, bearish. So I anticipate for a continuation of bearish momentum, and trying to catch pullbacks and ride back down. With that being said, um, how could I have perhaps gotten better into this trade? Well, I mean, the optimal place to get into this trade would have been up here. So other than, maybe being up during London session, which I wasn't, usually I mean, pretty early for me, I think pretty early for most people, I try to push myself to get up by like 3 every morning, 3, 4, and then get in front of the charts by 4 or 5. Get myself going, get a little coffee, a little wake up, get my brain going, if you will. But um, aside from that, with my current edge and my current strategy, there's not too much really. I mean, it's pretty much I just took an L because you know I got in here approximately, which I got in the lower time frame, so my entry was a little bit more aggressive. But even if I would have waited for the close on the H1, that was, to me, when that closed, I thought it was game on. Personally, I thought it's like, all right, it's shooting down, which it did. But I didn't think it would push back up to here, but the market does whatever it wants to do. With that being said, you know, I wouldn't have had a 180 point or 200 point stop. So with my current strategy, my current edge, I think this is pretty much just an L. There's not really too much else. I mean, other than perhaps getting in at this level here, had I been awake, I mean, this I wouldn't have got into because this was already, the market shot up yesterday. I already got out because I did the trade yesterday with the trailing stops. This, pushed up to this level and it had exhaustion. But again, these were hours that, considering I get up every day between 3 and 4, I usually try to get to sleep anywhere from like 8, 9, or 10 at the latest. For obvious reasons, I got to sleep at least 5, 6 hours. Well, 6 is perfect, but anyways, not to digress. You know, all things aside, I wasn't in the market at this time. Other than getting in here at 2 or 3 a.m. Getting in here. Um, there's really not much else as far as for my strategy. I mean, even here, I could have got in. Perhaps I don't really like to get in on a formation like that. Um, I mean, it was a strong bearish push down, but I like to get in more on the exhaustion itself, because my stop would have had to have been here. That's why I don't like this, because my stop would have had to have been here, so it wouldn't even have been outside of structure. So price could have easily just came back and knocked me out, like it ended up doing anyways. Perfect example here. My stop wasn't outside of structure. I realized that going into this, but at the same time, I wasn't going to have my stop all the way out here. I wasn't going to have a 250 point stop. That would completely, if I would have taken a loss like that, it would have ruined my everything I worked for towards the whole week. So risk management above all definitely is name of the game. So yeah, not too much else there. Even looking up here after this initially happened, I had my eye on it a little bit, and there really wasn't a lot to indicate that it wasn't going to keep pushing up. And then, so I took off that fib. I don't want to make this video run too long, but I took off that fib, but I'll put it back. When I saw this push happening and all of this, that there was at one point I was unsure if it was going to push up or if it was going to push down. I didn't want to get into a bias or to a bullish move because or bullish position because of my bias of overall being a sell, and I thought that at some point the bears are going to come in and really push this thing down, which in fact they did. But uh, before, I just, was just contemplating different scenarios as I like to try to do. I was noticing that laying out the fib here from this little push up yesterday, this was happening right around the 38.2 fib level as well on the bullish pull upside. So with all that, when this happened and I got stopped out and I saw this big candle here, I wasn't looking for a move to get into the bullish onto the bullish trend or what I thought might potentially be the beginning of a bullish trend. I was just monitoring it to see if maybe there was a good indication of exhaustion. But if you see here on the H1, there was nothing. On the M30, closed super bullish, and then this just went wham, just whammy straight down. This on the M15, so this is what stopped me out. This is what was immediately after what stopped me out. So as you see here, this was all hovering below my stop. This is what stopped me out. And then this happened. So I had my eye on it during this time actually, but there was no indication. I was like, oh, okay, I should get back in here. And then, this was the rest of that big move. By that point, price had already dropped. We're talking about 800 to 500, already dropped 300 points from what my initial entry was. So a good chunk of what, my overall move was. This was the whole move I was targeting. I was targeting a move that was 375 pips or points rather, and in a matter of 30 minutes, it dropped 300 or 200 of those points, 225 of those points. There was no real place I saw to get in. On the M5 even, same thing here. Again, this is specifically where I got stopped out. Here it was riding right along. This was my stop here. 33,400. And that was my stop, 33,400. So I was in it to win it, and then this one candle pushed up, bam, knocked me out, and then it just went completely in my direction. So these things happen. Obviously, there's nothing really I could have done. I mean, maybe if I would have zoomed out onto or zoomed all the way into the M1, which now in retrospect I did not do. So that might be something that I can implement more. I don't go down to the M1 a lot. I've heard a lot of big traders, including Q, that I'm a student at Wall Street Academy all the time, regarding US30, he talks about getting down even into the M1. So that's something to consider. Perhaps I could have considered that definitely. I'll think about that moving forward. But yeah, that now looking at this push up, this could have been the entry right here, the re-entry, which would have been right around where I got stopped out at. So this could have been potentially the re-entry right here. Now that I'm looking at this in retrospect, I could have potentially on the M1, got in here, 100 points, another 100 points. So it would have put me well beyond any recent structure. So if it continued up to that point, it would have been like, okay, see you later. It's not dropping anytime soon. And then this could have been my same initial target, 33,400 is what I had laid out. Well, it's the bottom here. It just looks better because it looks bigger rather because it's on the M1. So that would have been a 1 to 5. And not to mention, zooming back out now. Oh shit! I knew that was gonna happen. I knew that was gonna happen. Zooming back out now, I also can see how I would have just been able to continue writing it down to my previous TP earlier in the week, which it did hit once, but another time it missed, which would have been a 1 to 7, and even continuing down further, 1 to 9, 1 to 10. So there you have it. That's how the week wrapped up. Still did end up doing pretty well for the week. Uh, I would say I had more wins than losses. I would say. So with that being said, have a great weekend, and I will see you guys pre New York session on Monday.